breed two nigger males with two nigger females. Then we take the nigger male away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females, being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an offspring, will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her. Through her, by her, negotiates her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen, subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong, in other words. Body over mind. Now in a few years, when these two offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound and long-range comprehensive planning. Okay, warning, possible interloping negatives. Earlier we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in their wild or natural state. We talked about the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and the female savages, we created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomenon occurred and reshifts positions of the male and female savages. Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring. For they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time. If it can touch some substantial, original, historical base, and they advise us that the best way to deal with the phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomenon of illusions, so that each illusion would twirl in its own orbit, something similar to floating balls in a vacuum. This creation is multiplicity of phenomena of illusions entails the principle of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, was we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, thereby creating different levels of labor and different values of illusion at each connecting level of labor. The results of which is the severance of the points of original beginning from each sphere illusion. Since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason and effect of crossbreeding horses and niggers, we shall lay down the following definition terms for future generations. Orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given path. Axis means upon which or around where the body turns. Phenomenon means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. Multiplicity means a great number, means a globe. Crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, and you get a dumb, backward, ass, long-headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself. Crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible. Varying the drops by the various tones that you want, and then letting them breed with each other until another circle of color appears as you desire. What this means is this. Put the nigger and the horse in a breeding pot. Mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? You get a multiplicity of colors of ass, backward, unusual niggers running tied to backward ass, long-headed mules. The one reproductive of itself, the other fertile. The one constant, the other dying. We keep the name constant, but we may replace the mules for another tool. Both mule and nigger tied to each other. neither knowing where the other came from, and neither productive for itself, nor without each other. Yeah. It's controlled language. Crossbreeding completed for further severance from their original beginning. We must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the new nigger and the new mule, and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to the extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. For example, if you take a slave, if you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave. For you can't fool him any longer, and being a fool is one of the basic ingredients of any incidents to the maintenance of the slavery system. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops, and the slavery system would break down, for he would relate on the basis of what our crops really meant. Okay. So, you have to be careful in setting up the new language, for the slaves will soon be in your house, talking to you as man to man, and that is death to our economic system. In addition, the definitions of words or terms are only a minute part of the process. Values are created and transported by communications through the body of the language. A total society has many interconnected value systems. All the values in the society have bridges of language to connect them for only working in the society. But for these language bridges, these many value systems will sharply clash and cause internal strife of civil war. The degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude by the magnitude of the issues or relative opposing strength in whatever.
To apply for a library card.
It just makes you mad. I got up. Because they messing with the mind. They're playing with your mind. You know, trying to manipulate your mind.
Trying to do like they did back in the day.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do, we're gonna talk around them, and we're gonna talk our own language around us.
Exactly.
You know, they got smart. We got smart. We got